So it's time to send the Democratic Party a message at the ballot box that they're never going to forget. In 253 days, you're the ultimate jury. You get to shock the world again if you choose to do so. Here with reaction, former White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Reince, I've been through a lot of these elections before. I know we had McGovern, but I think McGovern looks like a conservative at this point compared to this group that we've got.
Well, there's no doubt about it, Sean. I'm in Miami, and these comments about Castro are really reverberating around the community. People are hot. You can't win Florida with comments like that. But you're right. I do think that if Bernie Sanders ends up becoming the nominee, I do think it's more like Nixon, McGovern. Nixon was a little under 50%. What people were mixed on Nixon, but then McGovern came in and Nixon won at under 50%. He won 520 electoral votes. I say all that, but I also caution everyone. There's only one other person besides Donald Trump that can fill an arena. That's Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is going to have the money because of his email list, and he does have a movement, a crazy movement, but he's got a movement. And so the Democrats have a big problem on their hands. Even the never-Trumpers are giving the Democrats advice as to how to get rid of Bernie Sanders. But the Democrats are now, watch what's going to happen. Everything they talk about is going to shift to delegates. They're going to stop talking about who's winning states, and they're only going to be talking about delegates, because right now Bernie Sanders only has 45 delegates. He needs 1,991 to win. So the Democrats are going to try to slow Bernie down by talking only about delegates. And I think this thing's going to go on for a long time because there's a lot of freak out going on right now in the Democrat Party.
It was very revealing, Tammy, that in the end, everybody on that stage but Bernie Sanders, although he conveniently changed his position from 2016, little known fact, I guess. But everybody on that stage, they don't want the Democratic voters to decide. No, they want the hierarchy in the Democratic Party to decide in the hopes that they'll steal it again and rig the primary again and take the election away from Bernie again. In that sense, I actually feel sorry for Bernie and Bernie's supporters. They got screwed the last time.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly, it indicates that the Democratic Party has been doing that all along. This is why this is so surprising. This notion that this would actually be a democratic process where people would be wanting their own representation. So this is really, swinging back that curtain for the Democratic base. But let me just say, a lot of those people, you see them at the rallies and they say they want socialism. We find with polls that when you ask them what that means, they don't know. That they're going along this idea that maybe social programs is socialism, which is, of course, is not social programs. It's government takeover of the economy, of manufacturing, of our lives. But when they also need to know about these individuals. And you've got someone like Bernie Sanders, who writes about women and children either wanting to be raped or that Americans like the idea of children being sexually violated, or that women fantasize about sexual violence. It is that same kind of sick point of view that can explain this idea that socialism is good for people, that this nature of government taking over your lives is going to be just fine. If you've got that kind of bizarre, really pathological point of view about what Americans want, what human beings are like, that is what is going to shift you into the nature of this. And I think that that's very dangerous and very telling. Clearly, the Republicans have a chance here, if he is the nominee, to educate the American people about what socialism really is. Donald Trump will be able to do that very well, because it won't stop with Bernie Sanders. It is the Democratic Party, and we've got to stop them at this point now, or they'll never end.
Well, and then you have, of course, Mayor Bloomberg, who he's the exception. He says, oh, yeah, you're 95. You've outlived your life expectancy. Go home and die. That's his health care policy. And, of course, he wants nobody to have a gun. So he supports death penalties and only targeting minorities, because that's where all the crime is, and that's where we send all the cops. They've got a lot of good options here for them. Insane, but I guess that's what they're thinking. Thank you both. All right, we'll have more on